Hi, Andy. It is fantastic to see you. Thank you for taking time out of your tour to chat to us here at Knots TV.
Yeah, I'm very happy to do that. Might be a little bit tired at the moment, but the tour's been going really well, and it's about the fourth. In fact, the original band played in Rock City in 1980, 81. So we're revisiting now a lot of the venues that are still going, obviously, with this lineup. So it's really good.
Yes, Rock City, it's an iconic venue. Wednesday the 20th, you're playing there. That's right, isn't it?
Yes, it is. The tour is called Full Circle, and we started in my hometown of Wrexham, where I played my very first gig at the age of
Wow.
14.
Wow.
60,
In the actual same venue.
no, no, no.
Oh,
But I was in the gang shows in that same venue that we played, which is the University Hall, the William Aston Hall. At the age of 8 and 9, my brother and I were in the Scouts, and we were giving it the old, we're riding along on the crest of a wave, when we were in our Scouts outfits.
how
Um,
fantastic.
but but the place we played 60 years ago was a church hall, which was used as a youth centre, and they had probably um, anybody who had a guitar and a drum kit and stuff used to show up. But we actually had a band, four of us from school. We'd actually got ourselves together. So when we played, it was still horrible, but it looked more organised. Uh, and then 60 years later, I'm back in Wrexham playing at the age of 74. So I'm,
You
uh,
look amazing, might I add. I like the fact we've got similar hair.
yeah. Well, I'm lucky that I used to joke that Lady Gaga would send me a wig once in a while, but it is real. So,
It's
and then
incredible.
yeah, well, the full circle thing brings us back to the last show after we've done Nottingham and then London and then Poole. We're finishing in Frome in Somerset, which is right on the Wiltshire border. I'm half an hour away from home. So I started
Oh,
where I was born and I'm finishing where I live now. So
that is
it's
fantastic.
good.
Are you at home at the moment? Because it's a very beautiful
Yes,
backdrop
yes.
you've got.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Yeah, this is um when when this is a really old barn from the 1700s, and it was like redeveloped in a slightly different angle in the 1800s, early 1800s, and this is the barn now that I've developed. It's got a recording studio and everything here, but when it was first developed, we made the north area, which is where the carts used to come in and out and grab the granary. We made that area like a bedroom and an office, so I had somewhere to be, if you know
Wow.
what I mean.
Yes. Fantastic.
And then the rest of it was like developed around, and yeah, it's a 30 odd years I've now been in Wiltshire, so I think I'm almost a local.
Andy, the statistics that I've been given for this week are incredible. 53 years that you guys have been performing, 55 million sales, and 34 number ones. It's astonishing.
Yeah, I wish I could say that all of that was UK based, but a lot of our territories are, mainland Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and out in the east. We had a good time in the mid to late 70s in the Americas as well, in the USA. But in more recent times, uh, there are so many bands from our era back on the road in the USA that trying to get your foot in the door, you end up playing places that you hadn't played in years, smaller places. And I gave that up about 15, 20 years ago, going to America. I'd rather go there on holiday now.
You say that a lot of your success has been out of the UK, but you did have eight top fives in the UK. That's still amazing.
It is amazing, but when you look at bands like, and I am going to mention, Status Quo and Slade, they had a hell of a lot more, should we say, success that kept them touring in the UK. We had a hiatus in the UK between the end of 74 and the beginning of 78, where we didn't do one gig here.
Wow.
We
Okay.
were either in America or elsewhere. And the song "Love Is Like Oxygen" was the thing that brought us back here. and that's when we started to do gigs again in the UK. These tours that we do now, we've built them up from clubs, basically, places that held about 500 people, and now we're doing, decent halls, as you say, the most iconic rock city, and it's it's been fantastic. The first 5 shows, I think 3 of them were completely sold out, and the other 2 from the stage certainly look close to that. So if it continues like this, what is it that Ebenezer Scrooge says? It will be a good Christmas this year.
But you are glam rock royalty, aren't you? And you're a national treasure. And I must say that last time I did an interview for Knots TV with someone that's sort of the same, nearly quite the same status, I guess, as you, with Dave Hill from Slade.
Well, Dave and I and Slade, we do quite a few shows abroad together. In fact, it was about 10 years ago. It was a natural pairing that you put Sweet and Slade together, and we would do something like 10 shows, and they would pile in about 3,000 or 4,000 people, and it was, times changed. The pandemic, and Brexit has changed a lot of things for bands like us.
Yes.
There's a bit less out there. There's a bit less touring and stuff, and I understand why people don't want to get involved with having to go through all the red tape and paperwork to actually do a tour. It's far easier to get yourself on a plane like the old days with a guitar and use what's available at the festival that you're going to.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's not what we want, but sometimes you have to do what is necessary, if you know what I mean.
Andy, you are one of the guitar players and one of the singers as well. You are one of the original lineup, the only original member, is that right now, from the lineup, the original
Yeah.
lineup? Yeah. If you look back then, excluding the lineup that you've got at the moment, what was the best era, do you think, for Sweet?
Well, I'm enjoying what we're doing now because every night is a good night.
Yeah.
Whereas we were probably a little bit more akin to the Who back in the 70s. We would have phenomenal nights or nights that you'd want to forget, And I'm not saying that we were as argumentative as the Who, but there were some moments. There was one point where I was talking with Mick, because Mick and I continued into the 80s and the early 90s, the drummer, Mick Tucker and I, and we were talking about some of the things that had happened along the way with, the funny side of Brian's drinking and the bad side of Brian's drinking, and Steve running off to America, and not coming back. So we were without a bass player, and it's you can't. If I was trying to explain to somebody what happened in that 10 years of the original band, you probably wouldn't believe half of it. So
things are a lot calmer nowadays, though. What happens when you finish
a
gig? What happens when you finish a gig nowadays?
Well, I bought one of these. That you see these things where people on the beach have been windsurfing and they put their big coat around them.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
With
They're fantastic. Yeah.
I've got one of those. I shove it around my shoulders. I get in a car and somebody drives me back to the hotel. There's no after show drinking for me because my health comes first. And as somebody pointed out to me, well, if you're not feeling well and you say I can't do the gig's off.
Yes.
Whereas if one of the other lads, like the bass player or the drummer, in fact, the lead singer is important from that point of view. But if one of the other lads goes, oh, God, I really can't do it, we might be able to find somebody to just dep for the night, So there's a lot of responsibility, and I hope I wear it well,
You've been covered by a lot of bands, including Def Leppard. Have you got a favourite?
Yeah, I think the Def Leppard Action is definitely one of the best. There's also the guy who was with Kiss, Ace Frehley. He's done a couple of our songs. His versions are good. And if you go back to the way back, a band who supported us called the Scorpions in Germany. They used to be called the Hunters, and their 2 singles before they changed their name to the Scorpions, were Hellraiser and Fox on the Run. So, sorry, I'm just going to have to.
It's okay. Can we meet your dog? Can we meet your dog?
Well, he's a little cockapoo.
Oh, hello. What's his name?
Ted.
Ted.
Listen,
I've got a Ted as well. Hiya, Ted.
Ted, I'm on the TV, so will you be quiet, please? Yeah, it's the refuse collection today.
Yes.
And you know what dogs are like. He doesn't like them.
Now, back in the day, you did so much on Top of the Pops. Did you have loads of fun miming and playing along to all your stuff then?
Well, when we started on Top of the Pops, some of it was live.
Was it really?
Sing live. Oh yeah, and there was one song where we had to do it with the orchestra. It was a song called Alexander Graham Bell. It wasn't our biggest and finest moment, wasn't our biggest hit, but when we did Top of the Pops, my guitar was live and the Top of the Pops orchestra was live, and Brian was singing live.
Wow!
And it starts with the orchestra, with this trumpet thing that goes right up, and then the track starts with me playing, and of course they didn't quite get the timing right, and the track comes in slightly early, so we're all now, there's a bit of horse's eyes,
Oh, I thought everybody was pretending and miming back then.
It's not until the musicians union were very, very strict about the fact that they did not want musicians who'd appeared on, because there was a lot of that in the 60s. A lot of bands, the record was being made and not all the band were on the record or something like that. So they were just trying to make sure that their musicians were getting paid, especially when there was orchestration. So you learn a lesson. And as the 70s progressed, I think Top of the Pops decided to make a payment to the musicians union to be, dispersed. Probably everybody got sixpence,
Now, the costumes that you wore back then, do you still wear them now?
You would not want to see a man of my age and slightly bigger shape in a silver leather suit. Although I do have to say, you were talking about Dave Hill earlier. The gigs I've done with him, he still likes to dress up with his big hats and stuff,
Now, you have been quoted as saying this could possibly be your last ever tour.
Well, nobody knows. I've got a friend in Germany who, because he's not been too well from time to time. And one of his comments is, it's better to be above the ground than under it. And with that in mind, there isn't going to be a moment. Well, my wife thinks that if my demise is going to come, it's going to be holding a guitar on stage in front of a couple of thousand people. So, I try not to think of it in that kind of a way, but you have to approach your life in a way that there has to be a future. You just don't bang on if you're feeling dreadful. I've had, I'm still a prostate cancer guy. I've moved this year. I moved into the 4th stage, which means there are no more, but it's controllable. I think that I've been very lucky. I've had some of the best guys look after me along the way. I still get a few weird side effects, which involved about a month, 6 weeks ago, just before this tour, I had to have somebody do a slightly invasive procedure while I was knocked out in the what you might call the gentleman's area.
Oh no!
And I'm thinking, I hope I come through this because we've got a tour booked here, of the UK, and it's been fine. What it's done is it's given me a new lease of life to be able to not go on stage with a little bit of nervousness, So, it's
you look so well. It's an absolute pleasure to speak to you. It sounds like your tour is going brilliantly, and the night at Rock City is going to be fantastic. For any of our viewers that haven't yet got a ticket, I think there's still a few available. Sell it to us, Andy. Why should they come and see you?
Right. As far as I'm concerned, if you think I look all right, I'm the swan who floats about on the top, but there's a hell of a lot going on below, under the water. Yes. if you want an evening, an hour and a half of everything, there will be 2 new songs from the album in the set, and the rest of it will be made up of the hits, of which we've had, quite a few, as you mentioned, and a couple of those staple heavy rock tracks from certain albums like Desolation Boulevard and Sweet Fanny Adams and Give Us a Wink. I just think that as a spectacle and as a sound, you won't find another band of our era that will perform as well.
Wow. That's going to take some beating. It is amazing to speak to you. Good luck with the tour. Good luck with your health. Have a lovely Christmas, and thank you so much for chatting to Notts TV.